Hi YouTube, what's it people for now? Yeah, I'm after a little request from my one of my viewers. They asked me to do a basic roundup of DCC. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do, like a mini series on it. I'm going to cover sort of a few little areas, and I've actually made a list. Quite rare for me. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to cover basics, DCC compared to DC, points, locos and lighting, controllers, cost, anything that I want to go into a bit more depth with, and any questions. Yes, if you have any questions about anything to do with DCC, if I don't know the answer offhand, I will do a little bit of research. I know quite a few, well, a couple of good websites and some guides which I can ask. See if I have any questions. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comment box below, or send them to me directly, and I'll get onto the bottom bit later on. So yeah, I'm going to basically just work through this list. I'm probably going to go over maybe 2, possibly 3 videos. We're going to see how it goes. Excuse me. So yeah, so as you saw there, I'm going to start off with the basics. Now, quite simply, this is DC compared to DCC. Sorry about the lighting, it's a bit better. Now hopefully you can quite clearly see that DC is a lot more simpler than DCC. Just from the controllers you can see that. So yeah, so basically, well, they do exactly the same thing, just in 2 very different ways. Now, get rid of that. Now DC, this is quite the standard controller which Hornby have been using for a little while now. So yeah, most people should recognise these. But this is very, very simple how this works. Power comes from your wall socket into here. You then, as you move this red dial around, it runs from 0 volts here, and when you spin it all the way around, it runs at 15 volts just here. Yeah, and obviously you've got your direction up here. Now the way it actually works is your power comes into the controller, it comes out on the wire and then goes straight into the track. Then it goes from the track via the train's wheels into the motors, and obviously makes them move. Now obviously at 0 there's no current running through any of the track, and obviously right around at 15 it's full throttle and the trains are going as fast as they can. So it's very, very simple. You just increase it, more voltage goes into the track, into the motors, they spin a bit quicker. Very simple like that. On the other hand, DCC, it is simple. Basically is how it works, is your power comes into your box, your controller. The controller sends between 10 and 16 volts through your track constantly the whole time, which is why if you run any DC locos on a DCC controller, those locos will go flat out and you'll have no way to control them. So never really, well, just don't do that. But yeah, 16 volts into the track. Then the train picks it up, it goes like through the train's wheels, and then it stops at a chip. Instead of going to the motor like on DC, in DCC it stops at a chip. Then you type in your loco's code. In this case, this is my DC loco here. This is number 1. So in this case, I press number 1. It would send the signal through the wires, through the track, into the loco, and then when the chip or decoder recognises it's the same number, the train will then begin to respond to your controls. So obviously, increase, decrease speed, directional buttons up here. So yeah, so that's how this basically works. Now, because each loco is given a code, if I have 2 DCC locos, one is number 1 and the other one is number 2, then you can only control the loco which the number you select. So it's not possible to control loco number 2 with setting number 1. So yeah, that's quite good. Now, so yeah, that's basically how it works. Very simple. So yeah, I'm just going to get my 2 locos. Now, I've got 2 of these. Apart from the numbering, they are the same loco. Just rearrange the camera slightly. There we go. So yeah, these are my 2 GWR Pana locos, what you want to call them. I think they're 56X, should really remember that. But anyway, yeah, the only difference is this one here has got the number 2728. This one's got the number 2748. DCC, DC. Now, hopefully you can just quite quickly see that there is no difference between them at all. Apart from this one's got a little mark on the top there, but that's just, well, not me, it was a guy before me. But yeah, exactly the same loco. So basically I'm just showing you there is no difference between the look of the locos. Unless we lifted off the body shells, you wouldn't notice the difference. So that's quite a nice thing, so you don't need to worry about ever having to change your, like, the scale of your layout or anything like that. They are exactly the same. So yeah, comparing them to, I'm now going to go on to comparing DCC to DC. I've done a little bit of that now. So yeah, as I said, I've just told you how the controllers make the trains move and how the track works and all that. The other thing you need to know about DC compared to DCC is that at DC, when you go over a point, the other side of the point is dead. By that I mean, for instance here, now this point is set so the loco goes straight over it. On DC, this part here is dead. There's no power going into it. Well, not quite true. There's power going into this line because it's attached straight to this piece, but there's nothing on this side, which means that the trains won't move anywhere because obviously it needs a complete current to make it work. So that's what DC works. And how DCC works is the whole track is live. Everything is live, all of the tracks. Now that means that you're able to run different locos on different tracks just with one controller instead of like on old DC. If you wanted two tracks, you'd have two controllers. So yeah, that's one difference, which is quite nice. You're able to run more locos at the same time with one controller. Now the other thing is because you need your whole track live. If you have a DC layout and you want to convert it to DCC, there are a few options. You either have to restart your track completely, you either use a bus wire or you use DCC clips. Now DCC clips are, there's one, just trying to find one. I have done a video on these before, and as all basically a DCC clip does, just seeing my finger, is all this clip does is it goes in between the points at this point here, goes in between the points, and it changes power from this track to this track here, which is the same as moving power from this track to this track. Now you've got power on all the track. You will also have one more clip on the other side of the point there. Now you have power on all the track. You're able to run DCC as the whole track is now live. So that is what I think is personally is the cheapest and best option. Obviously it has got a few downsides, is that your power is running through this tiny clip, and if there isn't a very good connection, then you can lose a bit of power to the trains, which is where a bus wire comes in handy. Now I'm using both clips and bus wire because I have, some reason there's some less power on the other side of my layout. But you can just see the corner of it here, red for positive, black for negative. This is my bus wire, it runs all the way around underneath, and then every now and then I drop down wires. These two here go to the points, go to the turntable and say, I drop down wires and attach them on. Now using a bus wire, you have to make sure that positive is always on the same side of the track and negative is always on the other side of the track. So for me, positive is the inside, negative is the outside rail. Always remember that, never get it mixed up, because if you do, you can basically create a short circuit. Trains won't work and your controller will. Well, thankfully, DCC controllers, if they find a short circuit, they actually cut out and they stop any damage happening. So yeah, that's quite good. So changes to the track I've just explained to you. The whole track needs to be live compared to DC, which it doesn't. The other thing you have to change is locos. Now, as I said earlier, the only difference between these two is the fact this one's got a little decoder in it and this one doesn't. Now, decoders are relatively easy to fit, especially if you bought a loco within the last, off the top of my head, I think it was 6 or 7 years ago. Hornby and Bachman, I think, pretty much at the same time, started to sell locos with this on it, DCC ready. DCC ready means there is a socket and no chip. DCC fitted means there's a chip, stick it on your DCC layout and you can go straight away. So to run this on DCC I need to go and buy a chip for it. And that's not a problem, they're about £10 for a chip, ranging from about £8 to about £15, depending on what make and model and size and pins and things like that, but I'm going to explain that all later on. So that's what you have to do to locomotives, is add a chip. Now, I just explained the price. They are relatively simple. At some point, I will be DCCing this old locomotive. The main reason why I'm choosing an older one is because it'll be the first time I'm DCCing chipping a loco, so I want to use an older one that if I get wrong, oh well, it cost me £10 to buy. It's quite a nice runner beforehand. It's one thing you should always check is if you're changing is that it runs well beforehand, good motors, good pickups, good connections, because there's no point converting it to DCC and then finding there's quite a lot of problems with it. Off the top of my head, I think that's basic. The first video, I've covered the basics, DCC compared to DC, a little bit on locos and tracks. In the second part I'm going to be moving on to sort of a few other areas that you saw earlier on. I will probably get this all done in 3 videos. So yeah, thanks for watching. The second part I'm going to do it in a minute actually, so it'll probably be loaded up a day after this one. If you want to check that out, then please just have a look and subscribe to my channel and you'll get that video quite quickly. As I said earlier, any questions or any comments or anything, leave them below. If it's a question about DCC, I will do one video to answer them all. So hopefully that will be helpful. I will hopefully see you soon. Thanks for watching.